Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting. I've been playing about a bit today. Hadn't intended on making a video for this. I was just going to do it because it's Fun Fold Thursday. No, it's not Fun Fold Thursday. It's 3D Thursday. Oh dear. I was just mucking about with something and I saw this, and it is a little holder for my dimensionals. If you've ever joined any of my Facebook lives, you will know that I absolutely love a mini stamping dimensional, and I wanted to make a little holder for them. My very good crafting friend, Crafty Karen Designs, she'd made me something for my dimensionals. This is just slightly different. I didn't want to do a direct case for her because I think I'm actually casing her for a project on Sunday. So I just wanted to make something a little bit different, and you could adapt these measurements to fit anything in there. I've seen people that gift tea bags, kind of like speciality tea. So you'll see the measurements for this, and you could adapt them for the width and for the height of this box, for anything you like really. I've made something similar for face packs, for small makeup gifts. You could do this as well for maybe if you were making something to put note cards and envelopes in. It just multi uses for this particular box. So I'm going to use the measurements that I had to fit this. I've had to adapt them a little bit because I got it wrong, because I forgot to put that little bit in there, but actually I think that fits quite nicely. And there are two ways in which you could stick this down. We could use some of like Velcro circles and put those on there, but I think because I've used some non-current DSP here, I think eventually that's not going to like that. So I'm going to make the next one with card and then decorate it with some current designer series paper. So let me go and find some card and we're going to move on. Okay, so I was looking for some gorgeous grape card, but I couldn't find it. I've got the Hues of Happiness paper here, and I'm going to team that up with some this is Flirty Flamingo, so I think that goes just as well. So we've got some pinks in there. So what I'm going to do for this is use more of this part of the paper than this part of the paper, but we'll worry about that in a second. Let's start off by trimming down our card. Now the width of the card for this, oh, I can't find my dimensionals again. The width of this, when it was all open and before it was folded and stuck down, was 6 inches, because I based that on this. So I took the width of these and then I added on 1.5 inches. Okay, so that means I need a piece of card. So the width of these is, let me get that right. So the width of those, yes, was 4.5, and then add 1.5 inches. And I decided that the depth of the box should be 1/2 inch. And then these little tabs here to fit this on are 1/4 inch, just because our tear and tape is 1/4 inch. As far as the height of this is concerned, the length of it, I've got 2 1/2 inch pieces for the bottom and for the top. And then I've just added some extras. It just depends how far you want that to close. So this needs to be 9 3/4. Gosh, I think my blade needs look at that. That's terrible. My blade definitely needs replacing. I'll keep it like that for now. There's nothing I can do about it at the moment. So let's start off with the scoring. And I'm going to do the scoring using the Simply Scored. It's a bit easier, but very difficult to get in shot. So I'm going to start by making a score at 1/4 inch. That's a bit tricky to do. And then another one at 3/4. And then our next one is going to be at 5 1/4. So that gives me then the width of that. So I've got the tab, the depth, the width of the box, which I wanted to be 5 1/2. Sorry, 4 1/2. So I score at 5 1/4 and then at 5 3/4. So that's the easier one to work out. The width of what it is that I'm storing, 1/2 inch either side, and then 1/4 inch either side. Now, if you want the depth of your box to be bigger than that, then obviously that measurement there needs to be bigger. So if you're testing this out for something that's a slightly different size, my advice would be, there are my drawings. That's my drawings. And then I just work out the measurements. And then I just did it on an old piece of DSP, and it didn't work out the first time because I'd forgotten that. So it does enable you to practice. So this is the top, not that it matters, but I've decided to work at the top. So I need this to be, I'm going to score at 3 inches. That's the bit that flaps over. Then we want 1/2 inch, so score at 3 1/2, and then that's the depth of the box. My box is, this height here is 3 3/4. So I've got to work that out. That's 7 1/4, and then 7 3/4. Okay, so this is the size of the flap that I want to come over. That's the depth of my box. This is the height of my box. That's the depth of my box. And this is the bit that I want to come up at the front. Okay, so you can adapt those measurements for your project. Like I say, once you think you've worked it out, draw it, and then try and put those measurements onto a scrap piece of paper. I've used photocopy paper before now, just to make sure that it's right. Okay, so the first thing to do before we cut is to fold and burnish all of these score lines. The side ones are a little bit tricky because they're so narrow, but just do it with your thumbs first and then bring the bone folder in. I'll do all the cutting and then we will decorate the box. So that's the top of the box. The bigger rectangle is at the top of the box, but that's kind of up to you as to how you want these to fold over. Obviously they have to overlap just to make it easier. Okay, so really all we need, we're getting rid of a lot of these side rectangles. We've created them all, but really all we need, we're going to get rid of all of them except this middle section here. Let me show you what I mean. I'll start on this long side here. Now for these middle skinny rectangles, you're going to cut diagonally into there, like that. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. And then the second score line, you cut up to the second score line. Then turn it, and then from the second score line in, cut up to the second score line. Okay, so that's what, let's get rid of that little bit. That's what you're looking at there. Let me see if I can get that on there, like that's better. Sorry, got a bit of a shadow because it's, I'm filming in the evening. So I'm going to do that again, cut up to the second score line there, and then turn it and cut up to to the second score line, like that. Okay, so that's what you're going to get. Let me just, I can't cut those any better. That's better. Get that right on the score line. And then you're going to do exactly the same on this side, which is quite fortunate. It gets rid of all of those rough edges on there. So second score line, cut diagonally up to that one. And also on that same spot, cut up to that second score line. And then from the second score line in, cut up to the second score line. Like that. And then I'm going to do the same there. And cut up to that second score line. So there's the bigger rectangle, there's the smaller one. This is how it's going to fit together. I'm going to decorate it first. Oh, I've missed a bit off. So what's going to happen is that these will fold in. This bit comes up like that. And then that comes over like that. Now at this point, you may choose to round these corners. Now if you're going to do that, I would really recommend that you get something that's round, like that, draw around it and then cut round it. Well, actually, I would say that you should do that on the inside. I think a rounded one would look a lot better. But I'm just going to leave it like that so you can see as it is there. I don't want to round it yet. I'm just going to keep it like that. Okay, so let's decorate this. Now you have to watch the direction of your paper. So we want a bit, there's the bigger rectangle. Now this measures 4.5 by 3 inches. So we want a piece of DSP that measures 4 3/8 by 2 7/8. So we want the width of it to be 4 3/8. Right, let's get that sorted first. So I'm just confusing myself now. Depth of it to be 2 7/8. And the width of it, because this is the bit that will be seen the most, so start with that bit because that's the bit that is on show the most. We only see a little bit of that. So whatever you're going to put there, yeah, whatever you're going to put there should be, you've got to think about that. That's the piece that is going to be on show. How long did I say that needs to be? That needs to be 4 3/8 of an inch wide. Like that. This paper, I can't remember if I said earlier, I probably did, is called Hues of Happiness. It's really pretty. Right, we're going to put that in there. I've put my glue down. I did some tidying up earlier and I put it away. I'm not going to decorate this with any sentiment. This project, my 3D Thursdays, I normally don't put any sentiments on them, but you could use, perhaps some punches, perhaps put a heart design on the front, or we've got the decorative circle. Right, so remember, we have to get this in the right direction. It's going that way. Always take a minute just to make sure you've got it in the direction that you want it to be. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if it would really matter what direction these flowers are going in, but if you've got a paper that's got a very definite direction, then just be aware of that when you're cutting it up. So we've got that there like that. Now you could decorate the back if you wanted to. I can't see the point, but you could, if you wanted to, you could do that. Let's decorate the front before we put any glue on that to hold it together. Now you could do a contrast if you wanted to. So for instance, you can see, I know it's not the right size, but you could do a contrast. I think I'm just going to put some darker flowers on there. I don't think I want a contrast. I just think that looks a bit, I think that looks a bit strange. So I'm just going to put some more flowers on there. Now this piece, I need to measure that. I can't remember, 2 inches that is. So we want a piece that's 1 7/8 high by 4 3/8. If you want to decorate the sides, then they need to be 3 5/8 by 3/8. That's fiddly, and that's why I don't do that, because it's too fiddly. So I'm going to put that on there like that, using some liquid glue. You can use whatever glue you're most comfortable with. I'm just going to pop that on there like that. Okay, that's how that's going to go, like that. So what I want to do next is I'm going to put 2 pieces of tear and tape, one here, one here. Now, tear and tape is super sticky, but what we must make sure is that we get it right to the edge. And I like to snip it off like that. And I'll do the same there. You could stick it on these tabs if you wanted to, but you'd have to get it the exact length. And then that's just, we just don't need anything that's stressful. I've got the Take Your Pick tool. Rather than using the edge of my scissors, which is what I normally do in my YouTube videos, it's not very good, is it? Make the end of my scissors all gummed up. Right, so here's really the only fiddly bit of this. So there's the top. I've just glued this bit, this flap that's going to pop up like that. Do each side one at a time. So this is going to come in here like that. These glued bits are going to stick onto here. That glued bit there will stick onto there. So you're going to bring it up, and then what we want is this cut edge to match that first folded edge. So that's why we cut diagonally into that, otherwise it wouldn't fit. So line it up there like that first, and then really take your time with this, because if it goes out of line, it can affect the rest of the project. So that cut edge, I'm going to match that as best I can with the raw edge, so that the raw edge with the folded edge, and you really want to get a nice seamless line there. You can get underneath that. I'll show you in a moment what else we might do with that. We're going to do the same here. So bring that corner in, really take your time, and then you want the cut edge to match with the folded edge. Like that. And then the other thing that I like to do is get my bone folder in here and then give that a really good press down. You can't see what I'm doing there. What I'm doing is getting the bone folder and pressing against that. I want to press it against the table. Like that. And there it is. That is just super simple, that you could use for any type of gift. Like I said, I've done it before with those face masks that you get in a packet. They're really good. Where are my dimensionals? Oh gosh, they've disappeared. Well, there they are, back in the original one that I made. You could make this with DSP, but I think you would need a really strong DSP. This is probably a bit more robust. So they go in there like that. You could put a few more in there. Let me find some more in my little stash. When I say little stash, I have a big stash of these. Every time I place an order, I buy more. I just have so many that are you know, half started. So let's put those together. We can put a few more in there. It's probably best if I just put them together because they're sticking. There we go. And it fits over like that. Now, one way in which you can tie that, you could put this together is perhaps use a ribbon. Now, I'm going to see if I've got some Velcro dots. And the answer to that is no. I remember now I did use them for a project not long ago. So what you would do is put one half of your Velcro dot there. And then, in fact, you would put both halves there, take off the sticky back, and then fold that over, and then it's done. That's the ideal way of doing that. I don't have any Velcro dots. I really wish Stampin' Up did Velcro dots, and not that Stampin' Up would ever watch my videos, but if they did, Stampin' Up, will you please do some Velcro dots? But you can buy them off the well-known internet shopping site, but I'd much rather buy them from Stampin' Up. So you can. I've got some polished pink ribbon here, which I'm making a real hash of tying a bow. So there is a blog post that goes with this tutorial, and the link to that is in the description bar below, and it has the measurements on there. But remember that these measurements are based on the mini stamping dimensionals. Shall I see if I can do a bow on camera? I never can. Absolutely shocking at bows, but I'm going to challenge myself. It's a terrible bow. It's an absolutely terrible bow, but there we are. That will do. You can choose where you do your bow. I bet you can do a far better bow than me, but you know, that's just an idea of what you might want to do with that box. Like I say, you can make it deeper here, and that measurement will be for both sides, but also the top and the bottom as well. You could make this taller. Just make sure that these flaps actually overlap. There are a million and one things that you could do with this. And you know, if you have a go at this, please leave me a comment and let me know what you've made, if you've done the stamping dimensionals, or if you have made this for any other type of gift. Thank you ever so much for joining me. If you've liked this video and you've not already subscribed, maybe give me a thumbs up, hit the subscription button, and I would love to see you all again very soon. See you then. Bye bye.